Okay, so I'm going to start from the very beginning. My name is Jason Levy. I'm the data manager for the FIT program. Andy Gom's also on here, kind of just making sure if there's any questions or concerns I can't answer, he can provide those answers for me, or we will also, if something really crazy comes up, we will take a note and respond later via probably the listserv. I don't foresee any big questions coming up, so it should be pretty straightforward. So as part of the APR, normally we would send out a list of every child that is involved in whichever indicator we're looking at, indicator 1, 7, or the transition indicators. But this year we're changing things just slightly. The first round of data cleanup, we are having the providers run the reports. It's my goal that the providers in general run these reports a little bit more often, so that then when this annual data cleanup comes up, it's really a matter of just touching on a few kids, 3, 4, 5 kids, instead of having a huge list of mostly missing data, but also possibly incorrect delay reasons. Another reason I'm also doing this is because as an annual measure for Department of Health, we are having to report on some of these indicators now. And so if we're cleaning up these indicators throughout the year, it makes reporting for me a little bit easier because I don't have to explain as much of the missing data or errors that are involved in those. So it will help with my reporting at the state level in the future. So as everyone knows, these indicators, or at least most everyone on the call probably knows, these indicators are compliance indicators when it comes to OSEP, the Office of Special Education Programs. What that means is that we as a state have to meet a 100% compliance to be within compliance. So anytime we're below that, we have to report on why, as a state, we are below 100%. Therefore, we kind of pass that on to the providers, and as part of our state APR, we also require a 100% compliance we do have a little bit of a break because we don't actually have to issue findings necessarily if our providers come into compliance within, well, we give ourselves a little bit of a leeway. As you'll see on the APR for the state, we only run a sample. It's a 9-month sample, so it's representative of the whole year as far as OSEP's concerned. And can everyone still hear me? I got an error message on my screen.
You sound great, Jason.
Okay, all right. So what I do is at the end of those 9 months, I get 3 months leeway to verify that a program has come into compliance, has met that 100% for one of those 3 months, basically April, May, or June. So we don't always issue a finding if we're not at 100% for the yearly compliance. If we can demonstrate that we have come into compliance and also verify that that child has received the services that he or she were supposed to receive.
This is Kathy from CARC, and I just got in the meeting, so I hope I didn't miss much.
You didn't miss much, Kathy. I was just kind of introducing why we're doing this, as far as hopefully over the year we can do a little bit more timely cleanup, because I have, well, one reason is I have a state level report that I have to do, and it involves some of these indicators, and also I'm hoping that by doing it a little bit more often throughout the year, this annual data cleanup doesn't take you guys nearly as much time. So I'm going to be suggesting that, I would suggest that everyone runs it monthly so that for the previous month. But every quarter, I'll be sending out just a little reminder saying, hey guys, have you run your compliance indicator reports to see or verify that you are in compliance, and or make sure that the data is correct in those, delay reasons.
Okay.
This is not
run it monthly. Okay.
Well, yeah, it's just, I know that some providers do run them monthly. I've gotten that input, and so it's just a kind of to encourage everyone to do it, but it's not mandatory
Okay.
So it's just a suggestion from me and the FIT program. So a little bit more housekeeping. Everyone's actually, it seems like very quiet on the line, but make sure you kind of keep track of your chatter if you are talking. I know there's a few people that are doing group calls, and if you are in that situation, make sure your phone's on mute so that we don't hear your sideline conversation. It can get embarrassing at times. I've been on. So, but so far, everyone has been very good about the sideline chatter or not making any noise. If I have to, I can mute everyone, but I don't want to if I don't have to, because I would really encourage people just to stop me and ask questions during the presentation. Also, I will be asking at the end if there's any other questions or concerns. But don't hesitate to interrupt and stop me for a second to if there's a pertinent question, especially with the spreadsheets, because a lot of times as I'm doing something, I may do something kind of quickly, and you may have to have me repeat that. So I don't mind doing that at all, and I encourage any questions or concerns. I think I will go start into the reports, unless Andy, you have anything else to add?
No, I think you're doing it's going great.
Okay. So under the reports, I am logged in under me, so there's an extra report. We have some federal reports that you guys don't have, but as far as the annual performance reports, you should have access to these. We have, of course, indicator 1, 7, 8A, and 8C. Those are the ones that we are worried about as far as running the reports and verifying that the data is complete and accurate. So we have indicator 1 here. Can you see my indicator 1? Since it popped up, I think it didn't go into it.
Not visible to me.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
getting just like a grayed out dialog box.
All right, let me.
I'm doing mine by phone, but I have your handout, so.
Okay, perfect.
The report popped up now.
I had the wrong one pop up, so.
Oh.
There, that's you should now see the screen with the basic IFSP start and end date, and then of course the provider. Normally for you guys, you only have the provider that you're assigned to, so you don't usually have that selection. Since I'm a state employee, I do get access to everyone. So as far as the reporting for the state APR for the annual measures, we do measure basically July 1st through March 31st. So our start date would be 7/1/2016. Basically the beginning of the fiscal year to 3/31/2017. On all of our indicator reports, we do run this 9-month period, so that does not change. The only thing that would be different if you were running it on either a monthly or quarterly basis would be that you would do 7/1 to 8-1 if you're doing it monthly, or to 10-1 is actually the easiest. Is just add 3 months, and so 10-1, 16 would be when you would run that report. So initially, when you run the report, you get a summary statement, and if you're using FitKids quite a bit, most of our reports do have just a basic summary statement where it tells you where your compliance is. Oh, I shouldn't have. So you see here, we have a unique count of children, and then children that were provided timely services. When you click on your provider name here, you get a report of all the children that are going into this calculation of, for here, 65.3%. Let me pull up the indicator 1 report. Where's my indicator 1 report? There we go. So you should see indicator 1, timely delivery of services at the top. We always have the search criteria in the header of the report. So IFSP start date 7/1/16, end date 3/31/17. Then it will have the provider's or the provider's name here. We do have a list of children, their date of birth, social security number, what service they received. But the important column is the days until service delivery, and of course the delay reason. So when you go to sort, I typically delete the header so that I can then sort a little bit easier. So we right-click on what we've grayed out, what we've selected, and then we just delete that header. Now when sorting information, you have to make sure you sort all the information that's involved. If I were to sort just B, then it will only sort these names, and we wouldn't be able to then equate that to their date of birth, or more importantly, their service delay and delay reason. So of course, make sure you highlight all of them. I did demonstrate you get an error, so if we do, go to sort, we can do a custom sort by days to service. Now, if on your drop-down menu, you only have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, you want to make sure you click this little button here that gives you your headers. So it's a little bit easier when you're going through to find it on days until service delivery. And then you want ideally to do largest to smallest. So this is the error I demonstrated in the handout. So what happened is there's some merged cells, and in this it's very easy to see that it goes from I to L. Now there's what's happened is the report generates a merged cell for the delay reasons, and we have to basically unmerge those cells. You can right-click on, so you have to select I through L, the 2 columns. You right-click on it, and then you would do either column width to change it, which is what I demonstrated, or actually what you can do is just resize, and it'll resize all the columns to the same width. So it comes in very handy if you're trying to clean up your data a little bit as far as visually is concerned. You can go through. delete all, so they all expand out, and then you actually double click, and then it's formatted for you a little bit cleaner. But what we have to do is we have to delete this merged row or column, I mean. So once we delete that, now our delay reason is not merged anymore, and we will be able to sort on that. Oh, we'll be able to sort this. So we do our custom sort again. We want to do days until service delivery, largest to smallest. So that then our data pops up. And what we're looking at is, for indicator 1, is anything over 30 days. So if you notice, there's delay reasons on all these children, but they don't need a delay reason because they are 30 days or less. So once we hit the 31-day mark, we have to fill in or explain what the delay reason was. For this group, we can see that most were family, but we have some blanks. So those blanks are the ones that we're concerned about. We want to make sure that if it's an agency reason, that in Fit Kids it says agency reason, or other, or maybe there was a family reason, but it was missed and not put in. So you would go into Fit Kids and look up this child. We don't have these children in Fit Kids, but you'd have to look up Bernadine, go to the chart that you guys have, and then verify the reason to that delay. So indicators 7 and 8 are very similar as far as running the report.
Jason, before you go on, could you just clarify that you're not actually entering the delay reason there in that Excel version of the report? You actually need to go in to the Fit Kids again to enter that delay reason. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. I know every once in a while, Fit Kids, it won't, every once in a while, we'll get one child where you cannot enter a delay reason. So make a list of those, and then you would have to either fax them to me or put them on the FTP site, or you could email me and say, hey, I have a list of children that I can't enter the delay reason in, and I can send you a secure email, and then you could respond to that email with the child's information in that email. So there's 3 ways that you can get that information to me.
And then Jason, a question came in from the chat before you also leave indicator 1, and that's before you sorted. I think they saw that occasionally the question is, what do we do with data that has a crazy number, and it's usually a negative number. In this case, it was negative 345 days. So what is that indicating?
So when I run reports, I only look at 0 and above. What's happening with these negative numbers is that it's, for some reason, going back onto the old IFSP and calculating days until service delivery delay. So it's on the previous IFSP. And I have yet to find an explanation as to why these show up on the report. So as far as compliance is concerned, that was an excellent question. You only have to fill in for basically anyone's 31 days or more in indicator 1, delivery of service. Indicator 7, of course, it's more than 45 days you would have to enter that delay in.
So we'll research that. I do believe there is an answer to that, and I think you're right. It's someone has entered a service related to a previous IFSP, but we'll research that, and I think it's a data error issue, but I think, Jason, you're right. For this purpose, we wouldn't be looking at those, but we'll get out an answer because that is not clean data that we would want to make sure we don't have those negative numbers.
Right.
Another question has come in from the chat. Are you okay to take another question for indicator 1?
Sure.
So that is, what do we do if a service has been added at a periodic review or some other time between IFSPs, and will you still get dinged for that service delay? So I think it's asking the question, if you add a service, is it still counting the 30 days from when that service is added? And I think the answer is yes. Whenever a new service is added, you still, what FitKids is doing is it's calculating 30 days from the start date for that service. So if the IFSP was in February and you add another service in May, on May 15th, you have from May 15th start date, if that's the start date you entered for that service, you have 30 days to provide that service. So basically any service that gets added, whether it was at an IFSP, whether it was at a periodic review, or at some other time a service gets added, and it's within the 9-month period that Jason explained, it will be looking for whether that service was delivered within 30 days. I think I'm right in saying that, right, Jason?
I believe so, but I know on this report, if you notice, it's actually IFSP service start date. So yeah, when you go into the IFSP, each service should have a start date, and so I believe FitKids actually calculates from that start date, not the overall IFSP start date.
Yes, that's correct.
Am I back on FitKids, or is it not sharing that?
We're seeing the annual performance report reports in FitKids. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Reports menu.
Okay, because I don't have it usually puts a little yellow screen around what I'm sharing. It's not here. Okay, so again, we have our annual APR. We have indicator 7. I'll have to share that new share. So this one has a few more filters, but for our purposes, again, we're looking at the IFSP start date for the 9 months. Again, this one provides a summary. This one's slightly different because you don't have a provider name over here. Instead, you have a view details. One thing to look for is we do have a few reports that when you click on the view details, it goes to another summary page. And then you have another level of view detail to get to the to drill down to the individual level. So there is a few reports that you can get even more information on if you keep drilling down a little bit. In general, though, most of our reports are just 2 levels. You have a summary level, if there's a summary level, and then the detail level where you have the data behind it. So again, to export, you would export to Excel most commonly. The other one is a CSV file. Typically, very large files, if you're looking at like a huge claims file, a CSV might be a little bit quicker to download, but then you have to format it in Excel. In general, I would just go to Excel and download that report. Let me pull up indicator 7. So again, you have your search criteria at the top, your header basically. So if you were looking for just a certain delay reason, you can filter down for that. Typically, I like to do them all so that then I can calculate a ratio between, you know, all kids versus just kids that have delays. Again, we have our issue where it goes from J to L. So we need to make sure that we delete that column in between so that we can then sort. We delete the header. And then again, making sure that we select all the data. What's nice is Excel now, if you do try to sort, it'll ask you if you really want to do this, because it's not expanded through the whole selection. So you can expand the selection also to make sure it captures all of the columns. Again, you want to do day referral to IFSP, largest to smallest, that way the ones we are looking at come up to the top. And then we have our delays. This one's nice. I believe we have a few. So agency, other, another other agency, not. So you can see that there are at times, you know, unfortunately, you know, a staff member is sick, or, you know, actually sunny New Mexico, we don't usually have too many weather issues, but every once in a while someone can't get out due to weather, maybe out in rural New Mexico when the roads are real muddy. So, you know, we do have, you know, times where we can't meet 100%. We understand that, and we, you know, basically are encouraging you to work as hard as you can to make those, to keep those delays to a minimum if possible. Again, we're looking for any blanks. And then I typically on this, which I did not actually put in, but you can filter on delay reasons. And so if you wanted to check the agency others, which I would verify, you go through and you can then pull up which children have an agency reason. You can go pull their charts, usually it's not very many, and you can verify that it's truly an agency reason, because if it is a family reason, it was accidentally put in as an agency reason, we want you to get credit for those. So then you would go into Fit Kids again, of course, and look up Trinity and change her her delay reason if it merited that. Again, you can also use this if you want to just look at blanks. And we're only looking at above 45 days on indicator 7. So then you would see that these two children, we would have to research and provide an explanation for why these two were delayed.
Jason, in the chat, someone's adding not a question, but a clarification that you can actually sort on 2 levels. You can sort by delay reason and then a secondary sort for the number of days, largest to smallest. So you can.
Oh, that's true. Yes, you could do that also. Let me take my filter off.
Thanks to
and on your
Jesse or Emma.
This is where you would add the level. Thank you for that. So days referral, and then you could sort on delay reason. And then it would group helps if you highlight everything, custom sort, days referral, then delay day reason.
Jason, sorry, I missed that. So you can sort by delay reason, and what was the other thing?
So on your custom sort, you can add levels to this, and there's a little add level button here, and so you can add multiple levels. If you wanted to, you know, alphabetize the children, you could then also, let's do delay reason, values A to Z, and then you could do child name. So it's easier to pull, you know, this is, if you have 1 or 2 children, it's probably not an issue, but if you had, say, 14 children you had to look up, you might want to have it alphabetical, so when you're pulling your charts, assuming that you organize them alphabetically, you would then be able to pull all those children.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
I think what you, on this, so it's sorting first by delay, or by the date, and then reason.
Jason?
I think you want to do reason, right? And then days. And then we group all of our others together. You would have all your families together. You would have family medical, and then your blanks, agency and blanks at the bottom. There was a question or a comment. Sorry, I interrupted.
Did someone have a comment on something Jason said, or clarification? And Jason, I know you've said it 2 or 3 times, but I just wanted to emphasize these are not real kids. You've scrambled the names. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Actually, yeah. So if you run these reports a bunch, you'll notice that the names aren't actually formatted the way FitKids formats them, because it does put them last name, comma, first name. I use a random name generator found on the web to just create random names. So it's not exactly the same as what we have, but for demonstration purposes, I thought it was fine. But yeah, so again, like Andy said, this is random names pulled out of the internet, so we wouldn't be able to find this child in this in FitKids. Indicator 8C is slightly different. So as far as reporting is concerned, 8C and 8A are very similar. It's just the way we look at the transition dates that make it different. So as far as running data cleanup, we only need to run 8C because that collects the delay reasons for everyone. Third birthday, again, we're looking at last year. And then the end date is 3/31. And make sure you have 2016 and 2017. 2017, you would want to do all eligibility categories, all school districts.
Jason, we're just seeing the black grayed out screen. For the
Okay. Sorry about that. All right. Is that better?
Yeah, can see it now.
Okay. So we have the 7/1/16, the 3/31/17, like I was saying. Make sure that your years are correct. It's very easy, especially when you start putting in the autofill. You might put in 2015 and you would be running data on the wrong data set. So make sure that you do have, verify that your dates are correct. So again, you have your view details button, and that's where you go to the child level report, and you would export it again, of course, through Excel. All reports, as far as I know, all reports do export to Excel. So if you did want to download this summary report, you can also download that summary report. It doesn't break you down into the individual child, but if you're just looking for summary data for a presentation, or you need to, the CEO wants to know where you are compliance level wise. It's a very easy and quick and dirty way to demonstrate the data. Pull up my transition information here. So again, we have our search criteria. This is where you can double check to verify that the dates are correct. And this report, luckily, does not have the merged cells, so you don't have to unmerge those and delete that row. But again, you'd want to delete the header, and then you can sort again on your inactivation date. Or no, on this one you want to delay reasons. Or conference held, let's see. So we would do a custom sort on conference held the last 90 days from the third birthday. And A to Z, we'll put the no's on top. Again, you could add a level and do by delay reason to group those delay reasons together. So on these no's, we have to verify that the delay reason is filled in. And I don't think I changed this. So as we go through, you see that everyone's filled in. We do have a blank here, so we have to verify those children are, what the reason is for their delay on the conference. And then I don't know if there's any, again, agencies, I would double check to make sure that that's correct and in the chart. Of course, you should be verifying that all of them are in the chart, but as far as compliance is concerned, these become doubly important to check just to make sure that you're not getting, or you are getting credit for a compliance eligible reason, delay reason. Again, you want to check the no's and look for any blanks. With it sorted for the delay reason, blanks come at the end. Again, you could, on your custom sort, from Z to A, and then your blanks would show up. Oh. Helps if you make sure you sort on the group of data. You want the delay reason, Z to A. And then you have your family, and blanks should be, well, I guess blanks always default to the end.
Just to point out on the blanks, where you say that you pointed out that there was no delay reason. If you look over on the date of transition conference, there is no date. So in this case, for these two, it could have been that for whatever reason there was a conference held, but it didn't get added. And so it's putting a no because it's calculating that there was no conference, but indeed there could have been a conference held. It might not have been late, it might have been on time, but for whatever reason, it didn't get entered into Fit Kids. So that could be a reason for 8C that it's saying no, it's because a conference date was never added.
Yeah, in this case, actually both these children, it's the completion of IFSP prior to reaching maximum age of Part C. So on these two, actually it's convenient because I would actually verify this when I'm calculating compliance, and if they have come to within age before, I don't deduct for those children.
A couple of questions have come in. Are you ready for some questions?
Yep.
So the first one is, do we just need to run this report that you've been demonstrating for 8C, or do we also need to do it for 8A and 8B?
Well, 8B is the survey, or is accomplished through the survey, so I'll be sending those out. I realized on my APR calendar, actually this morning, that I need to send them out before the narrative so that then I can include those numbers in the narrative. So I will be working on those this week and next week to get them out soon, so that then I can get those to our providers and they can then start doing those surveys for 8B. 8B, we do not track through fit kids.
And can I just clarify on that? When you say a survey, it's what 8B is, just to remind folks, is the kids names that were sent to the local education agency, the public school, to notify them that these children will be turning 3 in the next year. And so it's a check of the names against who you actually, the lists that you actually sent to the school district.
Yes. And I'll be providing instructions on how to do that too when I send those forms out. As far as 8A, the reports are the same. So this accomplishes both. If the data is in fit kids, it satisfies both 8A and 8C. So I can verify 8A through this same report. So you only have to run the report for 8C to do the cleanup for both 8A and 8C.
Okay. We have 2 more questions, and I think they're both getting at the same thing, which was that, and you kind of spoke to this, Jason, but it sounds like a little bit more clarification, and we may need to go in and see if we could get fit kids to not include these situations. But the first one is, the question is, if a child is inactivated before the required date for a transition conference, do we still need to enter a delay reason? And then Randy also adds, similarly, for those 2 children, their discharge dates are 7 months prior to their 3rd birthday, so a transition conference wouldn't be required at that time, and I think she's correct on that. So do you have anything else to add on that, other than that we could go back and work on the developers to make sure if the discharge, if the inactivation is before the child's 3rd birthday, that then those kids don't show up on this report? That seems to be the what we should try and get to happen. Is that right?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. What I would do is, last year, I'm not sure how Patty would do this. It wasn't in her instructions, but I had to verify through some providers that they had transitioned. Like she did mention, I can go through and look at the, so here's a 3rd birth date, and this is,
I think it's the last inactivation date column.
There it is. So you can see here that they inactivated even before their birth date, the 3rd birth date. So again, the inactivation reason does list that they completed the IFSP prior to reaching the maximum age for Part C. So those 2 I would not deduct on because I can verify that way. But you're right, Andy. In theory, they shouldn't even be showing up on this list. So we can go back to the developers and see if they can make a change there.
That won't happen for this APR cycle, but
yes,
as Jason said, we won't count them against, and you don't need to go in and put a reason, because we realized that, I didn't realize that that was happening in this report.
Yeah.
Another comment came in from Randy. I think it's just a clarification. Patty calculated the difference between the discharge date or inactivation date and the 3rd birthday date, and she eliminated those children. So I think that's saying just what you said, Jason, that that's what you'll do.
Yes.
However,
Yes.
if the child's discharge is within 90 days prior to the child's third birthday, there should be a reason. Yeah, that makes sense. So we would still have expected that a transition conference was held for a child who is discharged within that 90-day period prior to their third birthday, and then something happened. The family withdrew. They moved out of state. Something happened. So I think that's good clarification, Randy. Thank you. But I think we can go in and ask the programmers for next year to eliminate any children from this list whose third birthday was who were inactivated more than 90 days prior to their third birthday, so that they wouldn't show.
Are there any other questions or concerns?
I realized I missed one, Jason. Sorry. And it says what we do is, and I think it's Jesse from Emmerich, is what we do is when a child discharges prior to 3, they enter a delay reason of family unavailable, so that we know that as an agency. So I guess that's their workaround. So is that something that they could do, Jason? With that, that it wouldn't count towards them? If they were then to rerun their percentage, those children would show as having a family reason and wouldn't show. It sounds like to eliminate them in your calculation, but if agencies are looking at their own until we correct this report to eliminate children who transition were inactivated more than 90 days prior to their third birthday. Seems like that's a good workaround being suggested.
Yeah, I want to, before I commit, I want to think about that for a little bit. So
okay.
I'll start a little bit of guidance on that. But
okay, yeah, and we can set that out.
Agree, but I just want to think through it fully before I say yes.
Okay, that makes total sense.
Thank you, Jesse, for the suggestion, though. That's good.
No other questions in the chat. Of course, people can also ask any questions if you take yourself off of mute.
Yeah, and I would just like to reiterate that, it is a suggestion from me that you try to run these reports more than just once a year, just because it helps. Of course, the data as we're working throughout the year stay clean. But also, it reduces that workload. You're not dreading the data cleanup when July comes around every year. Hopefully, and I know that some providers, this is a 4-minute job for them to go through and just verify that everything's correct over the year. But unfortunately, some providers, especially the larger ones, they just don't have the staff or the time, and so that they're rushing through at the end trying to verify everyone. So it's a process that everyone has to develop, and hopefully it's something that people can run on a quarterly or even monthly basis. Again, I'm not requiring it, just suggesting it. And I will be sending out little reminders every quarter saying, hey, have you run your compliance indicators? If you need some help with it, make sure you contact me and I can walk anyone through it again. Or questions pop up?
So Jason, do you want to let folks know of when you need this first round of cleanup done and how they would let you know that they've completed it?
Yes. So I am requiring that the cleanup be done by the 18th, basically the end of close of business next Friday, not this coming Friday, but next Friday. And I do, or would like to get an email from every agency as to when they have finished the cleanup. I will attempt to email people I have not heard from next, probably Wednesday. So just as to bug some of the people that are at the end of, and I understand it's crunch time, especially billing kind of wrapping up now. So hopefully next week everyone has some opportunities to do the cleanup. But I will be rattling cages next week just to verify that everyone's started working on the data cleanup and or finished the data cleanup. I would like to thank everyone that got online. We have a total of 32 participants, so that's a great turnout. Almost every agency is probably represented, should be represented in that group. Again, on the handout, I have my email, my phone number, so if you do need to reach me, reach out and let me know if you have any questions or concerns. Oh, I think another question popped up in the chat. Oh, good. Thank you, Deborah. With that, I think I'll let everyone go unless Andy has any last words.
No, great. I think this was good. I think it's great to have providers running their own data rather than you running them, and it just makes a lot of sense for people to be aware that these reports are even in FitKids, so they can run them on a regular basis. So thanks, Jason.
Yep, again, we're hopefully we'll have this posted this afternoon. If not later this week, I will get it into IT and have them hopefully post it quickly.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all.